Hello and welcome to the Gaj Show. Through the conversation with some of the leading voices in the crypto space, and to get into conversation with Kevin Owocki. Here's a little bit about Kevin. Kevin is the founder of Gitcoin. He's a serial entrepreneur experimenting since 1999. He's one of the most inspiring tech leaders who has done some amazing stuff. I look up to him as a mentor. There are so many things to learn from him. So without any delay, let's get into conversation with Kevin. Hello, Kevin. Welcome to the Gut Show. So good to have you today. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes, I'm doing great. So moving to my first question, you have been in tech since 1999. How
hmm
it has changed over the past years?
Oh my gosh, that's such a broad question. Well, we first had the Web 1.0, which was like the GeoCities read web, and then we had Web 2.0, which was iPhones and social networking, and now I think we're in Web 3.0, which is disintermediated read write web. So basically, permissionless blockchain computer networks is Web 3.0. So I've seen a lot of things, and I've grown as a technologist since then, and so it's been a lot of fun to just double down on my programming skills and to try to make a better impact on the world.
Super, super great insights on that. And okay, I'm really interested to know how you got into crypto and what was that point when you got interested.
Totally. Well, I was working at a clean energy startup in Boulder, Colorado, with my friend Piper Merriam, who is now on the Python team at the Ethereum Foundation, and he had been talking a lot about blockchains with the rest of the engineers on the engineering team there. And we were just really kind of captivated by this idea of a programmable, transparent, immutable ledger and what that could do for finance, and how we could reinvent jobs and all these financial products using blockchains. And so Piper pulled me down the rabbit hole, and I'm super thankful to him for doing that.
Super amazing. And like this leads us to our next question. Like you have seen the transition from web 1 to web 2 to now
Mm.
web 3. What are your thoughts on that, and like what are we heading to?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like my cop out answer is just to say that we're headed towards the metaverse. But does anyone even know what that means? uh, I don't know. I mean, so like, I think that with Web3, we're going to reinvent finance, and so I mean, I think that like the Internet of Information reinvented everything in society that depends on information, because we could send information across a computer network, and that reinvented entertainment, media, politics. And now we have the Internet of Finance. We can send value across a computer network, and that could reinvent everything in society that relies on value transfer, which is obviously investments and speculation. That's the big thing in DeFi. We're seeing art collecting being reinvented with blockchains now. And I think jobs, the Internet of Jobs, is really what I'm interested in. Helping software engineers become economically empowered in this new world is what I'm focused on. But if I had a crystal ball, I'd tell you where things are going. That's just how I think about it.
Awesome. So okay, I'm like a big fan of Moonshot. Can you discuss
Thanks.
a bit about it?
Totally. So Gitcoin DAO launched on May 25th of this year. And one of the things that we did was we had these work streams coming off of the DAO that were designed for various things associated with Gitcoin DAO. One of them is like the how do we fund public goods work stream, which is gets into philosophy and finance. There's the anti-fraud work stream, which is how do you solve civil attacks in quadratic funding. And then there's also the decentralized Gitcoin work stream, which is taking our core products and decentralizing them. And so all of these great things are happening in the work streams off of Gitcoin DAO. The one that I'm most involved in is the Moonshot Collective, which is just the rapid prototyping work stream on Gitcoin DAO. So basically, we take hypotheses, and then we turn them into experiments, and then we learn from those experiments, and we just try to figure out how to build coordination tools for the space within the Moonshot Collective. So there's about 15 builders that are building new coordination tools for the space in the Moonshot Collective. And your listeners can go to moonshotcollective.space if they want to get involved. We have a bunch of paid positions for engineers to help build software with us.
Great. Like, okay, so, we are in the NFT summer. So where
Mm-hmm.
are we heading with that?
That's a good question. I really have no idea. I don't think I'm qualified to answer. I'm just a spectator like everyone else.
Okay, okay. So, uh, uh, if someone is building an NFT project right now, what should they focus on?
Um, I don't. So, I mean, I think that I'm not the most qualified person to answer, but we did just launch Moonshot Bots, which was an NFT for funding public goods that Austin Griffith and I just launched, and we raised about $1.8 million for the Gitcoin grants matching multisig out of that. So I'm super proud of that experiment. And we just focused on making sure that there was cool art, that the project had legitimacy. So we were funding public goods instead of just lining our own pockets. And those are the things that we kind of focused on. Oh, adding ultra rare attributes like along as the projects were minted, like 1 out of every 10 would have these ultra rare attributes in them, and apparently collectors care a lot about rarity. So that's what's worked for me. But Bankless just had a really amazing podcast about NFTs and what makes them valuable in the metagame there. So I would tell people if they really want to know, they should check out the most recent Bankless podcast about NFT mania in order to know.
Got it. Like this will be like really helpful for a lot of listeners.
Yeah.
So yeah, between like like I'm building my own NFT collection that is like Gaj.
Oh,
Like we
cool.
yeah I have not yet named them, but we have the avatars ready. So we are thinking of Happy Gaj. So this will be like mainly to crowdfund Gaj Finance.
Oh, cool.
And yes, moving to the next question. What would you advise young developers like me who are building in Web3?
Um, I think that it's important to try things and to experiment and to rapidly iterate off of those experiments. Gitcoin was my 8th or ninth side project, and I just kept trying things and then doubling down on what was working and shutting down what wasn't working. A lot of things were not working, and I think it's that successive process of just really trying things and getting your feet wet with new technology, and then just iterating towards your goal is what I've done. And I've just been a voracious learner and explorer of this new world, and that's what's worked so well for so far for me. And but that advice only applies to if you want to be like a crypto entrepreneur. There's a lot of people who just are better off just getting a job in a DAO or like a job at a company, and so it just really depends on what path you're on. But that's what's worked for me is rapid iteration.
Got it, got it. Okay. How will the intersection of crypto, AI, and other emerging technologies happen? And like I would really like to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Um, That's a really good question. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think that the intersection of AI and VR and blockchains is really interesting to me. I mean, maybe that's what the metaverse is going to be, that buzzword, like a virtual world where you could interact with other people, and hopefully there's a monetary system that's decentralized, that is credibly neutral, that's at the base layer of it. And I really don't know. I feel like in 20 years we're gonna look back on hindsight, and all of the things that happened are gonna be super obvious. But with foresight, it's really hard to predict. So I'm sorry, that's a cop out answer, but I don't really know where it's gonna go, other than it's gonna get interesting and weird. And it's not gonna be skeuomorphic. So basically, there's this concept of like you can take what exists in the old world and invent it in the new, but that's not the most interesting. Like Yahoo and Google both had the mission of organizing the world's information, and Yahoo just took the world's card catalog system and put it on the internet, and Google invented a search interface and like a search engine that was really good. And it's the non-skeuomorphic stuff that is going to exist in the new world. The Googles, not the Yahoos, that is most interesting to me, and I can't wait to see what it is.
Awesome. Okay. Before concluding, let's talk about Gitcoin a bit, and
Sure.
what is next for it, and what attracts you towards DAOs in that context.
Sure. Well, Gitcoin's mission is and always has been to grow open source to economically empower open source software developers. And our mission is to help young software developers be able to work for the open internet and pay their mortgage and pay their rent and all while working on open source. And so I would love to see a crypto economic force that takes thousands of software engineers that were working at JP Morgan and have them come work on the open internet. So that's what I want to see happen. What's next for Gitcoin DAO? I am so happy. I'm elated to say that it's not really up to me. Like I just said it. I just set this thing into motion, and now it's up to the stewards who are governing the. I have no governance control over the DAO. It's up to the stewards to decide what's next for the DAO, and it's really up to them. But what I hope that they steer towards is just more experiments that fund open source software and fund more developers at scale, and just continue playing an integral part in the ecosystem's growth. So that's what I hope that happens, but it's really up to the stewards, not to me.
Great to know this, and hey, like, thank you so much, Kevin, for being on the Gaj Show. I had like really great time talking to you. Hope to talk to you
Totally.
soon.
Cool. Great. Thanks so much for having me. Good luck.
Yes, thanks.